All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. 2-year anniversary of Carnivore Trades. Thank you to everybody for helping, putting me on, supporting me the last couple of years. But anyways, let's get into it today. Everybody wants to know NVDA earnings. They are scheduled to come out. I should be able to just do this in real time. They are scheduled to come out at 4:20. I do see the stock bouncing around a little bit here, so maybe they're out early. A little bit of a move there. Nothing crazy just yet. So let's see. We got Snowflake out right now. Normally I have a lot more to say by now, but anyways, we'll be keeping an eye on that. Maybe it's getting a little sympathy bid off of Snowflake there. Yeah, look at Snowflake bouncing around there. But in any case, I'll let you know my thoughts here. We've got a lot to cover here. So markets. So NVIDIA, I think, probably beats on their estimates and bottom line. The question is, and I tweeted about this earlier, the question kind of is, has everybody that wanted to get in already got in? And now that the stock is at an all-time high, is it priced for perfection? Additionally, looking at the premiums here, I mean, it's absolutely juiced to the max. So I wouldn't even be surprised to see us kind of do what Snowflake is doing right now and just kind of bounce around and maybe just theta burn tomorrow. But we'll see here. Stock's bouncing around a little bit. It's flattish after hours. We'll get back into that. They should report by the end of this video here, and I'll get you into that. But spiders here on the day, gap and go. We talked about this yesterday. It was kind of 50-50. I didn't like the close yesterday, a little on the softer side. Still looking for that 50 MA, still looking for the 20 MA, right? But just kind of weakness there into yesterday's close. No real dip buy attempt, and we never really made that hourly high or low, right? So just kind of a soft close, but we did get a gap and go. We gamma squeezed up this morning. I talked about that in the short video. As soon as we cleared 4,400, it was pretty much gamma squeezed to the upside on the 0 DTE chain. Bull's not really building any support here. Again, this is just the nature of the gamma squeeze. You don't build support, you just go straight up. So, God forbid NVIDIA misses, we can come right back down. So just be aware of that here. But again, now that now that today's move is out of the way, and we'll get NVIDIA's earnings out of the way shortly, again, we can go back to looking at this as a target. It doesn't look like we're going to go down to Jackson Hole. Yesterday, it looked like that could be a possibility, right? So we had that soft close. I said it's 50-50. I'm still favoring more of a bounce, but it's more 50-50 based on that soft close. Also based on kind of bonds being a little weird here, showing us some divergences. But in any case, looks like that's where we want to go. Maybe even a little higher. Can't rule it out. Maybe NVIDIA beats and they maybe their earnings are spectacular. Maybe it's not expensive enough right now. There is a 50-point move priced in, or 47-point move, I think it is. So it's about 10% priced in. That could take you up to 515, 520 right now, right? So nothing to say that can't happen. We can't push a little bit higher. What is important, though, this is really what it all boils down to. It doesn't matter if NVIDIA lays an egg or not. My bias going into next week and going into Friday is if we are up significantly into Jackson Hole, it's probably favoring downside risk post-reaction, right? So I'd say that the odds of that have increased, right? Because we gap and go today. We didn't build supports. We didn't go down. If we kept going down into Friday, I would say buy with both hands into this 100 MA, into this 430 area. Pivot high, pivot low. That would have been a real no-brainer here. We did think that there was going to be a pivot this week of some sort, and it looks like we've now confirmed that with the move up here today, again, regardless of what NVIDIA does. But we'll watch these levels here. NVIDIA does kind of need to at least hold up for the most part, because we've had a little bit of laggardship here from XLF, although it was up today, and XLE, although it did come nicely off the lows. It only finished down 25 basis points, but last couple of days has been a little bit softer, and that XLE specifically has been a market leader lately, really with the exception of the last week or so where tech has kind of taken back over. But again, like I said, if NVIDIA misses, does something bad, you're going to need to see XLE and XLF kind of pick up the mantle tomorrow, because that's going to weigh heavily on technology, obviously. Outside of that, Apple has had a nice bounce, so that has continued to push up, and that obviously is helping the triple Qs here. Nice move there, up 2.2% on the day. So that should get at least to that 20 moving average. And then there should be some resistance around 185. That's your big sell-off bar there. You've got a gap window right here. So that's going to be your big resistance level. And then, of course, the 50 moving average. So that's coming into some areas there. But again, you kind of need to see these other sectors step up here. I think if we're going to continue up into tomorrow, unless NVIDIA really knocks it out of the park there, and they are still sitting there at 472. So we'll see how that trades in a few minutes. But again, we'll watch those levels there on the spiders for the Qs. We basically got there, right? So 50 moving average, 20 moving average, we stalled out, right? That's where it stopped today. Doesn't mean it can't go higher, but your next area, it's probably into this 375. This is kind of where you broke down. We'll say 374 right there, those pivots to pivot high. And then if you get through that, I think your max move here in the near term is around 380. And that's still that's a bit of ways away here. But again, we'll see how the market trades here. It's all about how we're set up into Jackson Hole. That's really kind of, if we're oversold, then it's more of a likely we bounce. If we're overbought, then it's more likely that we come back in. So that's generally how it works here. But in any case, let's flip over here to the Russell IWM here, up 1% a day. Little zigzag move. I believe I talked about this yesterday on the 4-hour. You kind of had that look, up move, inside bar, and then a continuation. So no real problems here with the Russell just yet. That can still get up into that 188 to 190 range. Russell hanging in there. Okay, that finally caught up a little bit today. It was pretty much a laggard ever since we put in that low last week, but getting a slight bid here today. Dow Jones Industrials via the DIA up 0.5%. Again, still a little bit of a laggard. Don't want to see this go sideways. This could be putting in, a sideways bear flag. You want to see it start to zigzag its way up. Is there some earnings going up there? There's Snowflake, nothing on NVIDIA yet. But in any case, Dow here could be putting in a bear flag, but it's still holding that 343 area for right now. If we get through that, right to that 338 pivot. All right, semiconductors here today were green, up just over 2%. Again, stalling out right at yesterday's high. Again, doesn't really matter until NVIDIA reports. But they did have a nice day. I think AMD was up 3.5. That helped out really nicely. We saw Intel up 3 1/3. So nice move there for the SMH. That still has daily resistance at 155. IGV also having a nice day, up 1.6. I believe Oracle had some news earlier. That was all over the map. That was up 1% though on the day and hanging in there. Okay, again, watch this down sloping trend line. And again, we did go right into that 50 and 20 moving average. So we're coming to some short-term resistance here on IGV. Again, just be aware. I don't like that weekly failed pattern there, so just be careful with cloud software here, but it was up decently today. Dow Transports here up 1.13%. Again, still kind of looking bear flaggish here. So it's still immature, it's still premature, but if this continues just hovering at this 15.5, 15.6 area and just going sideways and not participating in the bounce, it could set up another zigzag down to where probably right around that 15,000 handle. That's where you've got the 20-week moving average, and that's where you broke out last time from the that little micro consolidation pattern. So that would be your level to watch on the downside there. But so far, a pretty lackluster bounce there for the transports. All right, let's get over to interest rates here. So let's start off with the 2-year as always. Rates. Okay, so our 2-year chart, a little bit of a backing off today. Again, still pattern here, very good up move, and you've got a cup and handle look. So 2-year looks very good. 5-year, same type of look there, and that's these are both basically hovering just below the highs. I will say the 10s double top, nice pullback there. Does have some support short term around 410 or 4.1, I should say. And then the 30-year, kind of coming into that 20 moving average, that could probably still get down to maybe even 4.08, maybe 4.13. There's some short-term levels. Obviously, you have the 20 moving average sitting right there as well. But again, I talked about this the other day. It looks like the short bond trades, just in the short term at least, is very crowded, especially going into a volatility event. And we are seeing it back off a little bit. We'll see how that trades going into Jackson Hole. But, bonds might be telling us a little bit something here about the economy. I think stocks right now were up today. They're rejoicing the fact that bonds were bidding. But if bonds are bidding for the wrong reasons, it can be not so hot for equities. But right now, bonds coming in and stocks are liking it so far. But we'll have to see how that shakes out into Friday. And again, a couple minutes left here until NVIDIA reports. So we'll continue to go through the rotation here. XHB up 2% on the day. So that trying to get a little bit of a bid. It does have some resistance at the 50 MA and then this pivot top, which we broke back below. So we'll see how that trades into tomorrow, but XHB getting a little bit of a recovery bounce here today. ITB up 1.14. Again, that looks a little bit more bear flaggish than the XHB. But remember, there's a lot of retail in this. Home Depot, Sherwin-Williams, those types of names. And today, Foot Locker pounded, took Nike down with it. So a lot of these retailers are getting, whacked really hard. Walmart had earnings, although they're holding up better. They're getting a lot of higher end customers right now, but Target, take a look at that has done nothing on earnings, and that is near the lows of the chart. Probably wants test of 120, but in any case here, the ITB coming in based off of that, as it has those retailers in there, but you do have that bear flag look a little bit more so than the rest of the home builders. VNQ, surprisingly nice pop there, up 1.5. Again, this can still get to 83 and then possibly 84. So that's kind of bucking the trend a little bit. This trend line is holding. If it breaks down again, it'll go down to this one here at the 78 handle. But VNQ having a decent day here today. XLF, again, we mentioned that earlier, up 1%. Needed to get a bid here. I think you're going to need to see more help from financials and energy. Especially with that failed pattern. I do not like that look on the weekly chart of XLF, but it did get a bid here. Again, there's lots of stuff going on with Schwab here. People are calling it the next Lehman. I'm not going to go that far. I don't like making those claims here, but there are problems out there, and maybe that's what bonds are telling us right now. So again, just be careful in this environment. KRE, that can be a failure if we can't get back above 44.50. By Friday's close. KBE, that can be a failure if we're not back above this level by Friday's close, but it did get a bid here today, so we'll leave it at that. Broker dealers here hanging in there, still has resistance at 500, but getting a little bit of a bounce. Crude here down 1.15, did come nicely off the low, so kind of a little bit of a test candle there. We'll see how that does. It still has support in this area. So again, you're seeing that upsloping trend line and then that previous inside bar that failed. So crude's still holding up. I still think it's putting in weekly chart consolidation for a potential move higher, but I think it has to do a lot more of it if it wants to move up, but really no problems at the moment. XLE, little test candle. This actually shook me out earlier today. We got a long position in it, and we did take our gains off the table. Just kind of a risk management thing, but it did come off the lows nicely. I still think this is doing weekly consolidation as well. No real problems there on the weekly time frame. And then XOP, same kind of deal there. Test candle finished near the highs of the day. OIH, same thing. That actually closed green, so that is still showing a lot of relative strength there, and that may just be putting in weekly consolidation for a move to 370. Nat gas backing off again. That did hit the 250 area, so I think that's home here for a local low, possibly even a bigger low. That came in tomorrow. Inventories number, little oversold here short term. We'll see how that plays out into that tomorrow. Usually when you're beat down into those numbers, you can get a bid, much like equities being down into a volatility event versus up. Dollar index. So take a look here. We talked about the weekly resistance. We were peaking above it this morning. I said, wow, the dollar is really holding up. Came back in. So those weekly levels, they are dominant for a reason. Doesn't mean they can't get pierced. What you're seeing here, weekly red bar high, a little overbought going into that. Down sloping trend line right there, and we are pulling back a little bit. Maybe that gives equities a lift, but maybe bonds are getting a bid and the dollar is coming in because the economy is slowing down. So that's something else to think about there as well. But dollar index pulling back. We'll see if it does a little bit more of that. I don't expect it to get right through that weekly level in one shot anyway. Gold here getting a nice pop up 1%, stalling out at the 50-day moving average. I'm not doing anything with it at the moment. Silver up whopping 4% here. So that will have next level going to be right around 24.50, and it's basically into that right now. So big move there for silver, and that did curl back up nicely. So we'll continue to watch that for pattern. I still don't like how we lost that weekly inside bar low a few weeks ago, but silver definitely shaping up nicely today, and we'll continue to watch that moving forward. Let's take a look here. So NVIDIA is out. It looks like right up to 500. So NVDA, let's see if they pin it there. That would be very interesting. So there's the big move, 500. And high was 508. I know there's a lot of calls and puts right at that strike, obviously for an obvious reason. So we'll see if that ends up getting pinned right there. Let's take a look at the NQ here. Yeah, getting a little bit of a bid in the after hours as you'd expect. Nice pop there. And the ES. Yep, nice bid there as well. So NVIDIA up to the 500 handle. Wouldn't surprise me if we go up there and then just burn that out tomorrow. So that's basically right up here, you know, just above obviously 495. Chart doesn't go all the way up there, but we'll see if that gets burned out tomorrow. Maybe they put it sideways into Friday, but nice bid there. So again, we'll come back to this in a second, but platinum here into the 50 MA, still looking for one more drop there. Palladium, nothing really new to report, still looking for one more move down there. And then copper getting a bid here, that got to 380. That can still get to around 383, maybe a little bit higher here, but nice bounce on copper here. And again, we won't make too much out of it right now. Lastly, Bitcoin, then we'll get back over to NVIDIA and the markets here. So that did finally get a bounce. A lot of support in this area, very, very oversold. We'll see. First test is going to be the 200 moving average. If you can get through that, then you can go up to the 20, and there's, you know, a bit of a psychological level right around 28,000. And you broke down from 28.6, 28.7, so maybe that can get tested at some point. But Bitcoin finally getting a bounce here. We'll see if that can continue over the next couple of days. All right, lastly here, back over to the spiders. So really quick, so we have NVIDIA out. Spiders are basically up $1.50 or so after hours now, and that takes you right into this area. So that's where we were looking for this market to get to. We'll see how that shakes out tomorrow. We could gap and crap. We did put no consolidation in on the move up this morning. However, they may need to push it up to 450. I can't rule that out either. We could have another gap and go tomorrow. We do also have this trend line here, so let's extend that out. So these are going to be some major upside levels here to tomorrow. I think tomorrow's close will tell us a lot more. Again, we got to look at how we close into Jackson Hole, how we trade up into that is going to tell us what the probabilities are of a continued rally or of a continued sell here. So is this going to be a bear retrace and another leg down, or are we going to come up here and do we have room for a higher low and another move up there? But in any case, NVIDIA really quick. So settling around 511, there, like I said, there was a 50-point expected move, and it looks like we are within range. So market makers not getting blown out this time. So no major blowout. That tells me we're probably going to get theta burn tomorrow. And we'll extend that chart here. There we go. So we're basically right here. And we're actually at 502 now, but either way, I would imagine this is probably the max move here for the end of the week. Does look like market makers have this thing under control right now. I'm not sure what the estimate or what the numbers were. Let me just take a look. I'm sure it's all over Twitter here. If I can find them here. Okay, so it looks like they beat revenue. Yeah, so it looks pretty standard here. I thought they would beat their bottom lines, and that looks like that is the case. Don't see the EPS there, but either way, they did beat those numbers. But market makers looks like they have control over it. Last time they completely lost control and had a 20% move. This time we're now within range. So I would expect us to pin sideways right around that 500 number by Friday, and then we'll see from there. So big move there for NVIDIA. Not as big as the last one. We're looking pretty top heavy up here. But again, tomorrow's close on the spiders will tell us a lot more about what we're going to do into Friday. Now, yet another question that comes in here, now that NVIDIA is at an all-time high, does that make Jerome Powell more hawkish? So lots of questions here. Watch the bond market, watch those divergences, and again, watch those levels on the spiders tomorrow. I think 445, 448, somewhere in that area should be pretty good resistance, and we'll see tomorrow's close, and I'll let you guys know what we're looking at into Friday as always. Anyways, guys, kind of wrapped up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.